Okay, guys, it's May 8th. It's the big day for the big balance patch. This is not competitive dedicated. This is not one profession dedicated, though Deadeye had its big overhauls. This is just a general big balance patch. So I've got Boots here. We're going to talk a little bit about balance. Dude, isn't it cool how often you get to come on the channel to talk about balance?
It's a true honor, sir.
No, not like you come in. It's an honor to be on the channel, but it's just great that, you know, we for so long were in. It's only quarterly balance, right? Or once every 3 months, but they're rapidly putting them out. It's not once every 3 months. It's like every month we've had you back, and there's been another big profound change.
It's like 2 patches every content patch.
So to sum up this one, guys. There's 3 big things. First, Deadeyes get a big overhaul. We're not going to go into too many details there, because honestly, that's like a huge discussion on its own. Boots, you know more about it. What are your impressions, at least, for Deadeye? Is there anything you wanted to throw in here?
Well, I just glanced over the things at the end there. You told me not to look at it because you were going to do your own video for it, right?
Well, no, you can look at it. We're just not going to go into details on this
Apparently, I'm not allowed to look at the patch notes. Because
so basically,
I'm just going to have to wait for your video, I guess.
Well, I've already got one, and you guys can check that out. Link in the description, where we talk about what was upcoming. But I will do another one on the Deadeye. So that's one thing. Point number 2 is underwater. There's a huge number of underwater changes here. Every single profession had massive changes, including a first for Guild Wars 2 ever. This is the first time in a patch a core profession has had a new weapon added to it. Yeah, that's right. The Rev has now got Trident. So that's pretty exciting. We're going to show off all of those and how they work, all the changes. So that's point number 2.
Just underwater balance, though, just a little note. I was expecting a little more. I think it's going to be good anyway, but I was expecting a little more in the way of underwater balance, in that I was thinking they were going to do more traits related, rolled in underwater traits.
That's true. It's mostly skills. In fact, what have we seen for traits at all? I don't remember.
No, I don't think we saw any.
They announced on their post online, though, officially, that there would be trait changes, didn't they? Trait changes definitely were mentioned officially from them, but I haven't seen any. That's a good point, Boots. But nonetheless, it's pretty exhaustive. There's lots of stuff, new skills, shuffling around. We'll be getting to that. And third and finally, unsplits. So, if you guys recall from the most recent balance with Boots, especially the competitive-focused one, a lot of people said to the devs right when they came out, even before it came out, and they just gave like preliminary information. The community said, hey, why is this only coming to PvP and World vs. World? Why can't PvE have the buffs too? Do you remember that, Boots? Everyone
I do.
That.
I remember saying that.
And the devs said, well, we'll do that, but for now, we're just implementing this for competitive. We'll look at what is justifiable for the other regions later. Well, welcome to later, everyone. This patch has a huge number of unsplits. Most of it means big damage buffs for PvE. So if you've got a favorite underused weapon for a profession, it's likely it got a buff in this patch if PvE is all you do. So
there are a few things missing still, though. Like there's Rampage that didn't get the skill split unsplit. Which I am a little bit unhappy about.
Well,
but it's
so Boots knows about the warrior stuff. He's going to teach us about that as we go through. So I've taken half the classes. Boots has taken half. Without further ado, let's jump in together on Ellie, which we've both read about and we both play a lot. So I guess we can start with the underwater stuff, right, on Ellie. And obviously we get 4 attunements, so there's a ton of them. Do you want to walk me through it, Boots? What exactly has changed here? What can I do now underwater? Do you want to just roll through? And as Boots reads out each one, I will use it to kill Barracuda and stuff so we can see the new skills.
So they wanted to make it, underwater in general, feel better, like make it not feel like a nerf every time you go into water and use your water skills. So they've increased the damage and lowered the cooldowns on basically every underwater skill out there. They've also changed, they've also changed a couple up. Like, for example, auto attacks. Whoa, here, hold on a second. Boil, 10 to 8 second.
So Boil, this one here, the skill 2 fire. This has got lower cooldown slightly.
Cooldown reduction, Steam, increased 50% of the previous base attack. The damage per attack is increased by 50%. 50%, that is. Has a radius. Okay, so should I just read each individual skill?
Yeah, completely? You can. Yeah, you can read each one out, and I'll just use them as you talk about it.
It's going to be longest for Elementalists, I think, because of.
Oh, why don't you just, instead of going through, if it's just minor, if we just say, look, they're all damage buffs, people can see on screen what the patches are. Just give us the big ones. What are the big changes, yeah? What are like some more potent revamps that have gone on? Any like functionality changes? Or is it just all about killing
yeah, there's a few functionality changes, I guess. Like, for example, Tidal Wave might be interesting.
So this is Water 5. Charge forward with Tidal Force damaging foes. Now, I remember, Boots, I used to use this on the ground, and I would pulse tons of damage to people around me.
So this skill no longer delivers damage along a path. Instead, the ending attack deals increased damage based on how long the skill has been active.
Right.
So I think depending on how far away you were from your target, the more damage you do.
Yeah, and you go a lot faster now as well, right? So it's a pretty big hit now, actually. 2,581 on the maximum damage. That's huge. That's a really, really big hit. What else we got on water?
Well, water, you have the auto attack has been increased by 100%, the damage.
Yeah.
The ice globe no longer passes through its targets and detonates upon impact when the first target it hits.
Yeah. Oh, that feels really good. That feels really fluid and nice. The wall is the same as well, right? Ice wall?
Yeah, but it's bigger, I think. It's 100% bigger.
Yeah, and so these used to be flip over skills, guys. They used to be like, you'd have to double tap it. This was like Guardian on the staff too, or the ice wall, you could detonate it at will. Now they auto detonate. I kind of liked being able to detonate the wall at will, but I mean, manipulating terrain and stuff underwater was never a particularly big part of the game, so hey, I guess that's
and so like, and since so many cooldowns have been reduced, I think that's better for Weaver as well, because you rotate into to elements a lot faster on Weaver.
Yep.
So you'll have those up more often than not now.
What about air? What have we got there?
In air, cooldown reductions, and a daze basically on electrocute.
Okay. Earth.
And Earth, you got huge auto attack increase of damage, 200%.
Oh, wow, really? The auto does 200% more now. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Small physical damage increase for Rock Spray, the Rock Anchor reduction of cooldown, and the Murky Water's kind of interesting, actually, the number 5. The radius has been increased by 100%, and physical damage is inflicted on each pulse.
Oh, so it's twice as big now. Wow. One of the things I was hoping this patch would do would be improve visual noise underwater. That's just, I have a feeling visual noise might be worse underwater, actually, after stuff like this. That's twice as big now, Jesus. It looks good, though. I mean, when it's the only animation around, it looks good.
There is one thing I was hoping for all classes to get
the 3 is different as well,
skills.
isn't it? Isn't the 3
different? the 3 no longer pulls the elementals to the target. It launches a projectile that reflects all projectiles in the path.
Yeah, that's cool. So we have reflect down here now.
Yeah, it's kind of like what was that? It was the Guardian longbow.
Yeah, deflecting shot. Yeah. Okay.
So what I was hoping for also, though, is that we get a lot more movement skills. I guess Tidal Wave is kind of a better movement skill than it was before. Underwater, but
oh my god, it's amazing. Actually, I just used it without an enemy, and you go really far, and you like lift up at the end as well. That's awesome. It's actually really good.
So so that's what I was hoping for. So Tidal Wave, you got an Ellie, and I'll talk about more things when we get further. But yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
Okay, and then, now there's utilities as well, right?
Yes, there's one change to a utility, and that's Lightning Flash.
So we can now use this underwater. So the reason we can use this before, guys, this is the teleport, is it's ground targeted, and ground targets don't work underwater. So its functionality now, is it what we guessed it would be? Yeah, it's just teleport to your target.
Okay. Well, I guess, that's half of the utility of Lightning Flash.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Judge's intervention on the Guardian or whatever now. So just more mobility, more moving around. I like it, dudes. I like it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that's underwater. Let's get out of underwater now for Ellie. They never buffed Whirlpool, by the way. Let's get out of underwater and let's talk a little bit about the rest of the class. So what struck you from that standpoint?
Well, as you know, there's the unsplits. So Dagger's getting a bunch of buffs in PvE.
Okay.
But I think the one that struck me the most was the change to Meteor Shower.
Right.
Which is weird now.
Okay, so the story with Meteor Shower is it's extremely high damage, and way back when, every single meteor you cast would do damage. So the bigger your enemy was, the more you could hit him, and with a bit of good RNG, you know, you could hit the full 24 times. So to try and lessen the RNG, and conceptually, I have always agreed with this patch, that idea. They made it so you could only hit someone a maximum of once in any short window, thus flattening out the maximum amount of value you could get out of it. And,
which kind of made a weird thing happen, because depending on whether you had slow on you or quickness on you, it would do the opposite of what you would want it to do necessarily.
Yeah, we've had these discussions before, so we won't go too heavily into it again, but people generally didn't like this too much, and it felt kind of weird to be hit with a meteor, but it just does 0 damage because you've been hit by an earlier one or whatever. So they've changed it now. It's still going for the same idea, but hopefully more intuitive. Do you want to read out exactly what that is, Boots?
So it's really strange but interesting. Okay, so the internal cooldown has been removed against PvE targets.
So
I
that
guess
thing
PvP
nobody
is
liked,
still the same?
it's gone. Except in PvP, it's still there. That's interesting.
Apparently,
PvE is gone.
And its initial damage has been increased by 23%.
So it hits way harder. The first meteor hits way harder, right?
Well, a little bit harder, 23%.
Yeah, that's
but
a
now,
big buff, man.
For one attack, though, because now damage will decline by 10% for each subsequent hit.
Capping at a minimum equal to 10% of the initial impact damage. What does that last bit mean?
That means that if something's getting hit like 20 times with this meteor shower, the last, I don't know, 10 or so of them will be at 10% of the initial amount of damage they could have done.
Alright guys, I'm just going to chime in a little bit here. I'm editing this video a couple of days after we initially recorded it, so I can give you some insights about community reactions. This has been pretty much hated on. People really don't like the meteor shower change. Those later impacts, as Boots was quite rightly cynical of, you can already hear in the discussion, those later impacts really hit like wet noodles. I still haven't really played much Staff Ellie, but this has kind of been joked on a lot in the patch. You can drop your comments down below on how you feel. I'm sure many of you will be raging down there. But yeah, so kind of a crazy change. Again, I get what the devs are doing. Did they go too far with it? I guess we'll see. But yeah, not good feedback on this. Thankfully, a lot of other stuff on Ellie's been buffed. But there you have it. I'd love to do a massive discussion on it, as I'm sure it would be very easy, but this is just a small slice of 9 professions in an abnormally large balance patch, so we'll have to move on. I'm going to put us very quickly onto Tempest Defense, another one of the Ellie nerfs. Speaking of Tempest Defense, that had a change as well, right? Boots, do you want to read that one out?
Yeah, so they reduced the damage from 20 to 10%. The extra boosted damage when they're disabled.
So yeah, a lot of people conceptually haven't liked this. It was a massive damage modifier. It meant that in certain... Again, this is only relevant if all you want to do is tunnel vision freaking raid discussion, really. And fractals, too. But basically, where you can CC things a lot, where there's break bars going down a lot, Tempest Defense was like this huge buff that meant Ellie was just excellent and outperformed other people. It wasn't in all encounters and all situations, but in the few that it was there, some people hated that. So the devs have listened to those people and they've halved that strength now. So Ellie, generally speaking, I think with these two things brought down quite a lot. Yeah? I don't know. Yeah. This is just our initial look. The patch only came out about an hour or so ago. Or a couple of hours. But yeah. So there's that. What else changed, Boots, that caught your eye here?
That was about it for me for... Actually, no. You know what? Glyph of Storms was kind of an interesting line.
I was interested in that. What do you think about that?
I don't know what it means. I haven't seen it in game yet.
Me neither. So we saw recently on a balance with Boots, it was the fire Glyph of Storms has a lower cooldown than the air one, and then the earth one has its own, and it has its own. These patch notes say the recharge time of Storms will now be based on the player's attunement.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Does that mean that it's...
Well, so originally...
I see what it means.
Yeah, because originally when you cast, like, let's say the Firestorm, which is the shortest cooldown, you would be on 25 seconds in fire, but when you switch to water, it would be 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Now
it's the same for all. So basically, you're not going to mysteriously not know what the glyph cooldown was. You're not going to, because you wouldn't know, it would be too obscure. Now you know 100%. Basically, if you cast the first one in fire, that affects all the cooldowns. So you can cast the lightning one in 30 seconds. But if you cast the lightning one first, you have to wait the full 60 before you can go to fire or whatever. So it's just much clearer now exactly when your glyph is coming back up, because you can have that little bit better control, I guess.
Okay,
right?
Okay, yeah. So, but that means that you shouldn't accidentally cast it in whatever the highest version is.
First, yeah, you can always open with the lower cooldown one to squeeze an extra 30 seconds out or whatever. Yeah.
Or whatever, yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. Yeah, and that's Ellie really, guys. Again, not to understate the unsplits, which you can see on screen here. Specifically Dagger, I'm quite excited about looking a little bit more at on PvE. Because it's been a while since I've done Dagger main hand PvE, and there were a lot of those buffs before, which were just in PvP, So who wants to go first then? So Boots has looked at 4. I've looked at 4. Do you want to start with NG? I kind of want you to...
I really want to talk about NG.
Okay, I want you to talk about NG too. NG has got a huge section, guys. Like, mental. Boots, take me through it.
Okay. So underwater first.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, buff to the auto attack, 40% damage increase. Right. So then we have Scatter Mine, which has some weird changes to it. So they've changed.
This skill was really spiky, high pressure before, right?
It still is. Still is. So they've increased the number of mines from 3 to 5, but the damage has been reduced and redistributed among the other mines. So it's the same amount of damage if you hit with all of them. It just seems like, and they've also reduced the cooldown, so that's nice. But it seems like what they've basically done is made it more forgiving in a way.
Oh no, using it here in game, I can see basically it's called scatter mines, and they really do scatter out quite far.
Oh, so you're gonna hit less of them all.
If you use it at range, it's like a proper shotgun attack actually. If
a
shock came up.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this weapon underwater is definitely basically a shock. It's a shotgun underwater. It's the rifle underwater for NG because you got.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so you got the Scatter Mine, you got the retreating grapple, so you grapple somebody and it pulls them to you right up to your face so that you can use the Scatter Mine and do a nice burst. So this underwater weapon is a very nice, like, burst, close range thing.
Yeah, I kind of really like this. You'll notice as well, Scatter Mine, that they stopped it being a flip-over skill again. I think probably what they're doing is they realize that all the flip-over skills underwater, like, people don't want to learn a ton of new skills and things when they're underwater. So they're trying to make it all as simple as possible. So that's because scatter mines used to be you could throw the mines out and then choose when to blow them up. It's just you would always double tap in practice. So yeah, they've changed that. It's a really meaty hit as well. That's cool. What about the 4 and 5? Any changes?
4 and 5 reduce the recharge time, and I think it does a blast finisher.
Okay.
And and it has some burning, a little more burning. Oh no, less burning.
That's crazy.
Less burning though. But overall more duration, so yeah.
Okay, what about utilities? Any kit changes? Any tool belt changes?
In underwater, let me see, what do I have my thing? No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Oh, rocket boots.
Yes, there is. Sorry, no, I was right. Yes, rocket boots. This is what I want to see underwater.
Oh, it feels good, dude. It feels like above ground rocket boots, honestly.
Okay, great. So you got a utility skill that has the nice
there's tons of utility. NG's like in heavy underwater. I'm sorry. It's got kits, it's got all the elixirs, it's got all the turrets, it's got tons of gadgets.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of skills you don't get as an NG underwater. Slick shoes.
I would like to also point out that they didn't remove the auto-targeting grenades for underwater NG.
No.
So I think NG is like the best underwater thing right now.
In terms of like class, weapon variety and stuff, it's very
good. Because you could also still be a hollow underwater as well.
Oh, do you get your hollow stuff underwater too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do. This is cool, man.
Yeah, NG's gonna be pretty fun underwater.
Underwater meta, guys. Underwater meta. Okay, cool. All right, what about above ground? Blow my mind here. So, oh my god, it started pouring down with rain in game while I was swimming there, and I didn't even realize it. Dynamic weather from Path of Fire. So basically, what I'm curious about is I know one thing, and that is that the med kit is having some changes, and I've wanted med kit changes forever. So without rushing you, I want to hear.
You want me to talk about med kit?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so med kit is they've changed it to not be completely unusable.
Whoa! There's loads of new skill icons.
They've changed it completely. So first of all, the auto attack. They haven't changed what it does, but they have increased the healing power multiplier on everything ridiculously. So increases the healing power multiplier by 500% on the base heal.
Wow.
So, do you have a healing power gear?
No, not on my NG. Hell no. I might get one though. So, just so that everyone knows, this is it. You heal people and more heals per boon on them. but it was always just really weak, and they've just increased it by 500%.
500% and 80% on the per boon.
80% per boon as well, dude.
Yeah.
With the new Purity of Purpose from the previous thing as well. Oh. All right, keep
but they
talking
have reduced the base healing by 33%, so that means that if you're going to be running medkit, it's going to be because you're running heal power.
Right, you don't get to skip over, which is good. I like all heal power things should be heavy scaling oriented, in my opinion. That's great.
Yeah, so the skill 2 now is throw bandages, which is a lot of healing also. 650 per bandage if you have no heal power.
What? You fire them at people? Oh,
you fire them at people, and it spreads out. So, like, if you're right next to somebody, this is a little bit of skill play, kind of. You have to be right next to somebody, kind of like a...
I don't like it.
Oh, I don't know, man.
I don't like it because it's not placed anymore. They're not pickups.
Yes.
Medkit was exciting because it was pickup-based
healing. You still have the pickups from, like, Bunker Down and stuff.
Oh,
it's fine.
Come on. That's not... No, now this is
Are
nothing.
you telling me you liked the way Medkit worked before by throwing those...
different style of healing, and it was, like
long cooldown pickups that were one at a time and weren't that great?
It was a question of efficacy, not flavor. It was cool. It was distinct. What's distinct about this? Go on. Let's.
I just told you.
I'm not convinced. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Fine. Throw stimulant. This has been replaced by cleansing field, which creates a temporary water combo field. Dun, 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 dun. And removes conditions every second that when allies are within the field.
So it's a bit like the Elixir Gun 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. It's a bit like Elixir Gun 5. Then let's throw Accelerant, replaced by Vital Burst, which is just a big heal for allies in the area.
Oh, wow, well, that's really simple.
Yeah, and then throw Antidote, replaced with Infusion Bomb, which throws a bomb, which is a combo finisher, which works well with that combo field you get with this.
Oh, yeah, you go the 3 and then the 5.
Yeah, and grant several boons.
Oh, it's got a cool animation, too. I like it.
So, to me, the fact that this medkit is... you know, you can use it whenever you want. It's a kit, right?
Yeah.
To me, this is like a slightly less powerful Tome 2 with no cooldown.
Yeah, an F2. Yeah. I mean, they have slightly different effectiveness at different things. I'm not seeing too much cleanse on this. There is obviously the cleansing field. And then the thing is, though, the synergies with the traits, right, is what's really
and you could combo that also with the Elixir Gun. Like, you could have both fields down at the same time. That's two every second or whatever. Just
to remind people, there is that Inventions trait, the Grandmaster, which currently no one runs. Medical Dispersion Field. A percentage of healing you apply to yourself is shared with allies.
And I was just about to tell you something very interesting about that.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. So let's keep going.
It used to be 20%. They've buffed it to 50%.
Oh, that's huge.
Insane.
Dude,
I don't even know what they're... honestly, I don't think this is a great idea. I think they have buffed medkit with the medical dispersion field as well too much.
No, there's no way to know that based on paper. We got to play it and experience it.
I think we got to play it and experience it, but I could see this being too strong, especially playing as a scrapper.
Sorry, go ahead.
Playing as a scrapper with this, I think you could make a ridiculously powerful bunker build that heals a bunch of people.
Maybe you can, but nobody was running healing-based scrappers.
No, it's true. Nobody was running it before because...
So, yeah, they can throw some good stuff on it. And even if it ends up being strong enough that everybody's using it, I mean, Firebrand is ridiculous at the moment. So, you know, if it somehow is even better than Firebrand, so what? For one meta, we've actually got something fresh and different to Firebrand for a while.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
This is cool.
Fair enough. But all I'm saying is I would love to see this in action because, to me, it looks very powerful, all of this together.
Yeah, it looks good. Soothing Detonation when you trigger a combo in a blast finisher, heal allies near it, so that combos with this as well.
There's a few weird things that don't interact with it, so I'm not sure. The combo finisher blast, I don't know if that interacts with medical dispersion field. I think that might be either a bug or something that was looked over.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons I never made this kind of build before.
Right.
But I'm not sure. So another cool buff to adaptive armor for Scrapper.
Okay.
Fixed a bug where this trait granted barrier before inflicting the strike was applied and preventing barrier which prevented barrier from stacking. So now it prevents it after you get hit. It creates the barrier after you get hit and increases the healing power contribution to the barrier by 150%.
That's great.
Very good, yeah. So that was another thing. And then another one, Defensive Field, the tool belt skill from the Bunker Gyro.
Okay.
Now grants 3 stacks of stability for 6 seconds for up to 5 targets in range.
Wait. Which gyro is this? Oh, yeah, I see. My God, yeah, stab on that. Oh.
That's going to be huge for support as well. This is I see a Scrapper being of good use in PvP now.
That's cool, man. Yeah, because people were running this anyway, right? This gyro is actually, if you're a Scrapper, you run this. Getting that stab, quality of life, because that's kind of an issue with Scrapper. You could get it on dodge, I think it was, or something, when you evade, right? If you took one of the traits, but now you just get that by default, freeing you up to take like recovery matrix or whatever. Yeah. Oh, I like it. This is nice.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of skill unsplits. So some buffs to PvE there, mortar buffs to PvE.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if there's unsplits, that means Mortar's got all the flat damage improvements we saw recently, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And Rifle got a bunch of buffs too. Well, like small buffs. But
the one thing I'm really worried about with this episode is people aren't going to really pause and look at the unsplits, or like even if you pause and look at them, listed on the patch notes, you can't see what it actually means because it's rolled into the previous videos. But it basically in general means lots of power creep and buffs, basically for PvE mostly. So yeah, cool, dudes. Was there anything else trade-wise?
No, that's it.
Cool. No, I'm really excited about this. You seem to think it's like over the top, but I don't know.
It might be. There was like just so many different buffs to a particular way of playing for Scrapper that it makes me think that it will be a bit much.
Well, we'll see. Because obviously, if you run medical dispersion, we're getting too deep here. But if you run medical dispersion field, you can't take the anti-corrosion plating, which does make you once again.
That is true. Yeah, that's a good point. Anti-corrosion plating is damn good.
And that robs you of the purity of purpose synergy in a lot of respects as well. So
yeah,
All right. So with engineer done, I'm going to do an exciting one of my own now, and that is going to be Rev. So, Rev, of course, being exciting, mostly because of the underwater stuff, because it's a whole new weapon! And like I said at the start of the video, this is the only time this has ever happened. Once upon a time, we only had the spear, now we get the trident. So, to really understand these changes, first, you have to look at spear itself, which is here. Now, spear, once upon a time, had 2 auto attacks. Do you remember that, Boots? Had the skill 1 was a Condi auto and ranged. Skill 2 was a... Oh, I guess spear still has that. They haven't... Yeah, no, they have removed it. Skill 2 was flat damage and melee. Well, now they've because there's 2 weapons for distinct purposes, they've changed that up. Okay, so do you want to read out the things and I'll demonstrate them on screen for people? Yeah, for spear first of all, and then we'll do the new one, the trident, afterwards.
Okay, so Spear of Anguish, the skill's damage has been increased by 33%, and its range has been reduced to 600 from 1200.
So there you go. So now they're all going to be within that 600 range.
Yeah, and exactly. And so Torment increased to 4 seconds from 3, and 8 seconds to 5 from 5 at its maximum.
Yep. So the skill 2?
Skill 2, Rapid Assault. This has a 5-second cooldown, cost of 5 energy.
So it's no longer an auto. We have to actually recharge it, and they've buffed the hell out of it, basically.
Yeah, 87% damage.
Yeah. So now it hits really hard. Feels good, by the way. It's a really nice feeling skill.
And then Venomous Sphere. Velocity of the skill has been reduced by 22%. Okay.
So it moves slower.
Yeah, pulse interval is halved, so it happens every 0.5 seconds instead of 1 second. To 0.25 seconds instead of 1 second.
Yep.
And the range of the secondary attacks has been increased by 300 to 360. I have to see that in action.
It's really cool. I'm showing it off here. It's got interesting synergy with the Shiro Impossible Odds as well, in that each bit of the sphere now can, proc loads. But yeah, it's like a moving death orb that throws it. It's just like on Tempest Air 5 with the Warhorn boots. It's just like that, but underwater.
And then 4 and 5 damage is just increased by like 25 to 32%.
Yeah, so they just made us a lot heavier. Here we do still have a flip over skill, by the way. But yeah, so there you go. That spear feels really chunky now. This is my first experience you guys are watching me actually using this stuff underwater. It feels pretty good. So yeah, now the trident. Ooh, so if this is our kind of Well, I don't know. It's like you could build Condi or flat damage on this, but let's say flat damage. All right. Or this is our 600 range / the later ones are still quite heavy range. 1200. Trident is kind of similar, actually. There's a lot of heavy range on this one. So,
this
all
is
new
interesting.
skills. All right, so let's talk about it. Mist Fire. Boots, what we got?
This new skill fires a single projectile that inflicts conditions based on what legend is active.
Yeah, so I currently have Shiro active, and everyone can see on screen, I'm putting Vuln out. 10 Vuln, and it's at 1200 range here. So, this is a good point to point out as well. They've added a new legend entirely underwater. There is now Jarlis you can use. The reason that this wasn't available before was because of the road ability, Inspiring Reinforcement, which was like ground targeted later path. All the other skills function exactly as you'd expect, but the road is now slightly different. It makes a big sphere around us, and you get this really cool animation. So those who were looking for new animations and visual effects, they are there now on the Rev. It's like a ring road around us. Boots. So yeah, you have that. I don't think there was really much else to talk about though with Jarlis. It's basically the same. But yeah, if you're in Jarlis and you're autoing, you put weakness out on Mistfire.
And those hammers will be fun for. Actually, that makes me wonder. Those hammers, is there a vertical component to it? Like if somebody's above you,
yeah, do they orbit? No, it's still around us horizontally, but they're kind of above my head, sort of. So I don't know. But yeah, it would be cool if they went in all directions. Look, you're a genius, man. That would have been awesome. The devs should have thought of that underwater. But hey, there you go. All right, skill 2 on the Trident. What's this?
Fires multiple projectiles at an opponent from mist rifts around the Revenant. So kind of like, I guess, the short bow?
Yeah, it's Renegade like short bow. Yeah. Portal fire. And again, a chance to do conditions based on your... the thing you're currently channeling. So again, because I'm Shiro right now, both the 1 and the 2 are just stacking tons of Vuln as I fight.
You know, this is like, it's interesting that they have this on underwater, on an underwater weapon, but this is like a mechanic that would have been cool for all weapons.
Yeah, if that was just like a baseline thing for Rev, or like at least Invocation should have traits that do something like that. You know?
Yeah.
There should be like an Invocation Grandmaster that does that. To like
it's an interesting mechanic. Anyway, then number 3, Rift of Pain. This new skill saturates the target, creating a chilling area around them with a field type that is based on which Legend of Revenant is attuned to upon casting the skill.
So hold on, does that mean I get different visual effects per legend? It's such a weird animation, dude. It's so weird. It's like a giant... There's some really dangerous looking sharks here in Path of Fire that I don't want to go near. So that's the Shiro one. Let me cast the Jarlis one. No, it's the same animation every time. It's cool though. It's pretty...
But I guess the field itself is different, so you'll do combo finishers differently depending on...
Dark, lightning, light, and it keeps chill, applying protection on our allies there.
Yeah.
Nice. Pretty cool.
Reckoning Blast, number 4. This new skill releases a blast of mist energy that heals allies and knocks enemies back. Inflict conditions that are based on the player's current legend.
Yeah, infusing your foes with dangerous power. Not exactly sure what's going on there. But yeah, so this one is the only one that's not ranged, so we have to stand right next to this guy here, and we explode him open like so. Kind of exciting. I love how edgelordy Rev is, man. Getting new Rev skills is always so good. Reckoning Blast, Rift of Pain. It's great. Okay, and then finally, Torrential Mists.
Releases the mist from Revenant's aura, has a chance to inflict conditions that are based on the active... So this is definitely a condition weapon.
No, because there's high flat damage on it, and if you're just striking for vuln or weakness, it's literally only...
so are none of the conditions damage conditions?
Only Malix is. So if you run Malix, you're Torment stacking on there. It's like both Spear and Trident can be built for Condi or Power, depending. But yeah, I'm currently Jarlis Shiro underwater, and I don't have really any offensive Condis coming out at all.
Okay.
But yeah, so all new underwater weapon to play with there. Was there anything else on utility skills for Rev? This is my section. I can't quite remember.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that was basically it for the underwater stuff. Let's now go above land, where there's more exciting things to talk about. Starting off with Renegade. So remember, Deadeye is a big thing. We're not discussing too much in this video. A lot of other people wanted Renegade revamps. Well, you kind of get some-ish here. It's not anywhere near the big Deadeye rework.
Okay, well, anything's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, and if you've seen the recent balance with boots and the patches the devs have done, they have been continuously doing these changes.
Last time, not really.
Yeah, they like friggin' doubled the condi on one of the spirits. They've been reducing the energy. They were.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So it's just conceptually, I think that Renegade has issues, which is why we're looking for a bigger overhaul. But here we go. So starting off, not with well, first of all, Herald had a slight change. One of the facets apparently could be used out when you weren't even a Herald. I have no idea how that worked, but people had a bug where they were doing that, so they fixed that, so good job.
Okay.
But yeah, so for Renegade, first short bow. I'm trying to find one to equip. Do I even have a short bow on this character right now?
That speaks volumes.
Yeah, I don't even think I have a short bow on mine. So that's great. Well, look, guys, you can see on the screen here, basically, big damage buffs, 30% damage buff, and casting time and aftercast changed. Specifically for the short bow skill Spirit Crush, the really weird, wonky one, it says this, that timings have been slightly altered so that the descending arrows serve to telegraph the attack, but the damage itself now occurs faster. The damage of this skill is no longer split between the game modes and uses the higher 233% damage increase in all modes. Okay, so that's pretty big for the short bow, and we'll have to see how it feels. You lose so much quality of life on it, so let's hope it can really pack the pain. I'll just chime in to note here that over the 2 days since we made this video, I played a ton of ranked queue. I played about 20 ranked European Season 11 games on a short bow Renegade. I lost 17 of them. I tanked my rating extremely hard, and yeah, if there is a way to make short bow Renegade work, even with the buffs, I'm still not seeing it. It was pretty miserable. Then the spirit buffs themselves as well, you guys can look on screen for the specifics here, but they have lower energy on the heal is coming to PvE and so on. I think that was already there in PvP. They've reduced the cast and the aftercast for all of the spirits, so all of them are less clunky to use. I think there's still a lot of weird line of sight issues, but yeah. And probably the most interesting one to me is the upkeep on the Elite, which was a focus of one of Boots' bad builds, is now lower. The upkeep is now -8 instead of -10, I think. So you can hold that out and actually use other stuff while you're...
Yeah, there should be like interesting buffs maybe for raiding.
Yeah, I mean, energy is always the thing. Well, one of the biggest things with this specialization. So it's obvious to me every time that there's a patch for Renegade that they're dropping energy, and I think that that's exactly what they should be doing. So it's kind of nice. Lots of unsplits. You guys can see those on the screen. Specifically, Jarlis obviously had quite a few there. And the other change as well is a Malik's change to do with one of the Grandmasters, Pulsating Pestilence. So this is the one where when you legend swap, it used to be the really cool one that meant that like condis on you would go back to them or whatever, a bit like the Elite. But this is now when you legend swap. What it was before the patch was conditions on you were copied to your opponents in an like AoE around you.
Spellbreaker.
So yeah, if I have 5 burning on me and I legend swap with everyone standing around me, I put 5 burning on all of my foes, which is really good because I put out, you know, in total up to 25 burning. So that's great because it means we can AoE stuff, copying. Well, that's now gone from it, and instead of copying, it's transferal.
Whoa, that is strong.
Well, no, because it's not what you think. Because
what?
It's both a buff and a nerf. Being transferal means we now cleanse the burning off of ourselves where we wouldn't before. So that's great quality of life. We can now have a method of cleansing, but you can only transfer to one target. So you won't put the 25 burn out. You'll flip the burn back to one of your guys. So the damage potential of it is like butchered in an AoE scenario.
Are you sure about that?
But you now have cleanse, yeah, because you can only transfer the condi once. Chumming in again here, yeah, that short bow build I was playing, it was running Pulsating Pestilence, which genuinely is really good and an excellent advantage that you now get, but it's not enough to carry the build, I feel.
But anyway, removing 3 conditions from yourself in itself is pretty strong.
So that's great. If you guys remember, actually, Invocation has Cleanse 1 Condi on Legend Swap already. So if you go Invocation plus Corruption, you actually get fairly good access to Condi Cleanse. And I kind of like that idea. I'm obviously speaking PvP, World versus World minded right now, but I actually kind of like that. That's a lot of cleanse. It does come at the cost of some other extremely good Grandmasters. So.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. You're transferring, right? So you get burst by a Condi Mirage or something. It's still a transferal, whether it's AOE or not. You land that on the right guy. I kind of like it.
Yeah, and if you want to do a PvP role of dueling with a Revenant now, if you are only doing 1v1s most of the time, it's full value there.
Yeah, it's unblockable, and the transfer ignores blind too. So it's a transfer that will go through. You just have to be standing next to someone, unless they evade it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I'm excited to see that, along with obviously Renegade is very Condi oriented. You might find a Renegade Malix combo, Invocation combo could get somewhere with enough quality of life now. And that's really the whole story for Rev right now. I think there's some above ground interesting stuff going on for Renegade, and Underwater obviously is pretty juicy. So there you go, Boots.
Great.
Now it's your turn to regale us with another one of the professions.
Okay, well I guess I'll go with Guardian then.
Okay, let me find my Guardian. Okay, over here. Great. So what are you actually expecting from Guardian from this patch?
I was hoping for nothing, because I really like my Firebrand, what it is right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, Guardian's in a pretty decent place all around, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of like Guardian as it is at the moment. I feel like Firebrand is still extremely dominant in PvP, but you nerf it too much and you start to dissolve away some of the clear kind of.
So the problem is that Firebrand is just such a good support right now in PvP that it's kind of just overshadowing all other possible supports out there. So nobody plays other supports really out there right now.
So they need ridiculous medkit buffs.
So they need exactly. So and I think they're trying to do, at least in this patch it seems, in what we thought was a good idea, which is instead of nerfing Firebrand more, they buff the other support classes a little bit. Well, okay, so I'll start with the Underwater.
Okay.
Well, first of all, they did Virtue of Resolve in PvE. It now has the higher healing power increase.
Okay.
So it's stronger now in PvE. I guess that's good for support in PvE. If you
so wait, that's Core Guard F2, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Now also, so for the Trident, you have.
So I must be honest, by the way, Boots. I very rarely play Underwater Guardian, so
I don't play
really
Underwater
sure
anything.
So I'm not really sure like how different this stuff feels. So I know they said that there's an auto chain now, right? So
yes. So Trident, the auto attack is now a chain. It does damage, and then it does some healing too on the second attack.
Okay, so what is it? It's Light Ball, Detonate Light, Judgment of Light.
Yeah,
Fire
so Light Ball
barrage,
is just pure damage.
Yeah.
Detonate Light, the second attack, is damage and healing. And then the third attack is damage and healing.
Yeah, okay, and a bit. Alright, that's interesting. And Vuln stacking. Oh, it bounces as well. Lots of bounces and projectiles coming out. Okay.
Yeah. And then basically for everything else, it's some damage buffs, like physical damage on the Purify is up by 150%. And the duration of burning's increased, and then some healing buffs. So it's just buffs in general for the Trident.
By the way, the vision effects on the new auto chain is amazing. It's just the right size. It's really good.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, interestingly though, here Pillar of Light is now a symbol.
Okay, wait, which is this now?
Number 3 on the Trident.
It's called Symbol of Light now. Oh, yeah. Oh, so that means it gets trait. Oh, that must have been what they were talking about with traits then, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, I mean, a roundabout way of adding traits to Underwater, kind of. Not really.
No, I think that's all right. It's a bit like an Ellie where if you take Persisting Flames, you can make the boil AoE field last longer and stuff.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah, exactly. So Symbol of Light, now you can increase the size of it, and it heals you if you have those traits.
Damage and whatnot.
Damage increase, etc. So then also we got the Spear, which has huge damage boosts as well.
What, just across all weapons?
Just, I'd have to say that all Underwater skills for all classes just basically just got huge damage boosts.
Okay.
So, and that's
any functionality changes on the Spear though?
Let's see. Yeah, a couple. Nothing major though.
All right. Well, people have seen them all. I've been spamming them all here. So
there's the spear wall. The spear wall used to, you used to put the spear wall down, and then you kind of went backwards when you did it.
Right.
So now you don't go backwards anymore.
Okay. I mean, I've cast that several times. Yeah, because I just wouldn't be familiar with what guard. Sorry, guys, I'm not a great guard player, but they have it. So
yeah, like I mean, it's
What about utilities? Are there any utilities that have just been unlocked for underwater?
Trying to see if I wrote anything down. Don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe no, I don't think so. So besides that, they have received the light, the healing skill. They changed it up a bit.
Okay, so we're above ground again now, right?
Yes, above ground again.
Okay, so receive the light was the shout. So this was what was once upon a time called. What was this called? It was called like mending or something, I think. Not
something like that. Yeah. So
yeah.
it became a
Healing
shout.
Breeze. This is Healing Breeze. So what did they do to Healing Breeze?
So they reduced the base heal on everything, but massively increased the healing power contribution.
Whoa! What do you mean massively? Give me numbers.
300%.
What? Oh,
and
dude!
And 200% for your friends.
Is this in all game modes?
This is all game modes, I believe.
What? Wait! What did you say for your friends? 200%.
So the healing you do to yourself while breathing it out is increased by 300%. The healing power contribution is increased by 300%. And the stuff you do to your friends when you're breathing your hot air on their faces, is increased by 200%. The healing power contribution.
See, I feel like this just needs like, I kind of want to say it should have a better cone, so it should be easy to hit. But the other side of things, it's kind of like, no, that's a learn to play thing. This has got to be the single heaviest direct, like, splash a heal onto someone's skill in the game at this point. That is huge.
Then we got Mantra of Solace. They fixed bugs on it, which is great. They had a bunch of bugs with Mantra of Solace, basically that, like, it sometimes looked like you had 2 charges of it, but when you used it, it turned out you only had 1, so it went on cooldown.
Really? I'd never hit that bug. That's crazy.
Yeah, I hit it quite often. It was annoying. And they fixed it, apparently. I hope.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we got there were some buffs to Greatsword, like Zealous Leap is better. Binding Blade is affected by Zealous Blade, and Zealous Blade has been increased to 10% damage bonus instead of 5% damage bonus in all modes.
Right.
So basically, Greatsword just got a buff. So if you're like a DH Guardian rocking your Greatsword, you're having a good time.
That's cool. Yeah, Greatsword was already really fun to use. So, and in certain raid encounters, I always swap to this on KC. Always, I love playing Guardian on KC. So I don't know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And then the cooldown reductions on the spirit weapons have been unsplit. So now maybe you'll be using Sword of Justice, for example.
Yes, we
in
did see a lot of those, didn't we? That's exciting.
Yeah. And then something I wanted to point out. They have, so you know the, like, strength in numbers, for example, for Guardian, but they had for pinpoint precision for Engineer, and later on I'll tell you about EA for Warrior.
Spotter I've seen for Ranger, all of those.
So all of the unique class 5-target AoE stat boosts have been reduced.
Yep.
And I don't know, I mean, I guess maybe they want it to be, like, less of a selecting kind of thing for raids. I don't know what the real reason for this is, but I don't know.
Yeah, usually they clarify in the post why they make sweeping, why that's important. I mean, we can speculate that it's because they don't want them to be such a blatant best in slot all the time.
Exactly.
Just to stack a ton of unique modifiers. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Anyway, so that's Guardian.
Okay, cool. That seems pretty good. Nice, simple. Sorted. I guess that's me again then now, isn't it? All right, so I guess we'll do Mesmer. All right, now guys, listen. So I was hoping for Mesmer. Oh, I forgot to get a Mesmer ready for the video in a happy, cool Path of Fire location. I guess I forgot to put in
That's all right.
All right, I was hoping for Mesmer. And specifically for PvP, both Mirage and Chronomancer to be hit hard because they are far too cluttery and spammy and nasty. I've talked about this several balance with boots in a row. My idea of just reducing the sustain of those things so they can be cleared away, so it's worthwhile trying to kill them before their animations, clones and phantasms alike. None of that has happened. The devs are not doing any of that kind of stuff. Mesmer players who like being ridiculously overpowered, rejoice, because you will continue to be ridiculously overpowered. So, first of all, now, there were some general changes we never talked about before. One of them is to confusion. This is a good time to talk about it here. This is the only really prevalent one. One of them is that resistance used to corrupt into immob, and they've changed that back to chill now in the face of feedback, which a lot of people have offered. Okay. But for confusion, so do you know the story about confusion, Boots? Do you want to fill everyone in on exactly how everyone felt about it? Just before this patch?
They felt that it got ridiculously nerfed in PvE and unfairly nerfed?
Yeah, so they wanted it to be split so that it got its damage back in PvE. Yeah. Well, the devs have basically retooled Confusion entirely to address that. So basically, it's just Confusion now does more damage to non-player enemies. So
that's a simple solution.
Yeah, so instead of being split, it now does that. That does have some effects. That means that if you're fighting against phantasms and clones and spirits and minions and stuff like that, you can counter that with Confusion. But then it's funny because that means you counter all the Mesmers with the more Mesmers, and Mesmers are still everywhere because Mesmers have the most access to Confusion in the game right now. So, I mean, realistically, this is just the devs don't want to split a condition like that. It does more damage to NPCs. This isn't the first time we've seen that in the game. Obviously, when Rev came out, Taunt, they had a trait that meant your taunt lasted longer against NPCs and stuff, so we know that they've had the engine capability.
How much damage is more damage?
I don't know. I don't know, actually. The patch notes didn't say, did they?
No, I don't think so. Because, I mean, Condi Mesmer in PvE is not so bad. And it has a decent amount of confusion when it wants to.
Yeah, it's just that they swapped it all for... So efficacy-wise, guys, obviously we're not going to be able to tell you that in the first couple of hours. However, except it took me a while to make the video, so I can tell you... feedback on the grapevine is that what the devs actually did that was missing from the notes is they made the on-activation heavier, but the passive, which is predominantly most of the damage you're looking to get out of it in PvE, the passive was the same, which is still like its gutted low version. So I believe Confusion is still quite weak, and people are still upset because, you know, as far as PvEers are often concerned, if it doesn't do damage, it's bad balance. I hope that we see some future encounters with enemies that proc skills a lot, thus making Confusion a tech choice, but that remains to be seen, and once again pushes us into that tangential discussion of the fact that balance really is done by two teams when PvE is concerned. The balance team and the actual content creators themselves, the raid team, the fractals team, and so on. We'll see what they cook up. Yeah. We can tell you that when the change happened before, they swapped a lot of Confusion into Torment. That's now swapped back. So you get your Confusion back, you get that identity back.
They swapped it back.
Yes. So Axes of Symmetry now, the Mesmer 3, and you guys can see on the screen here what exactly they did with the axe there. So you can get that, and that's a nice start, and obviously that's in reference to the Confusion change.
Interesting. Okay, great.
Then there's not too much more. Chrono is a bit nerfed in PvE because of an unsplit. So Continuum Split is now up to 105 second cooldown in PvE, which obviously then you can trait down by having your shatters lowered or whatever it is.
So hold on a second. Continuum Split is now 105 seconds in PvE. Oh, that's going to change a lot of rotations.
Yeah, so rotationally, I'm sure everyone will have fun messing about in the goddamn aerodrome and stuff if that's really what excites you about Guild Wars. That's going to be a change. Doesn't affect what I cared about, which is nerfing it in PvP. Another change was Restorative Illusions in Inspiration. Now, I'm not sure which spattering of builds were running this still at this point. Several were. So this is whenever you shatter, you heal yourself. All right? Right. So there's quite a lot to get through on this. They say the healing aspect of the trait is no longer split whatsoever. So it's the same everywhere. So... What's happened is the scaling, they've completely changed the numbers. So, the healing power scaling of Restorative Illusions has been increased by 285%.
So seems like a lot.
Yeah, if you go for healing power, you get massive sustain off of your shatters now. But
Have you looked at what it actually is in game?
No, because it's going to depend on game type and amulet and whatever, but that's much bigger now. That's 285% higher scaling, okay, when you have healing power. But if you don't have healing power, they've reduced it a lot. And again, this is a philosophy that I very much agree with. 62% reduced when you have no illusions, 50% reduced when you have 1, 42 with 2, 36 with 3.
I like that. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, the point is you won't see so many people running this on like ridiculously aggressive builds to try and round them out, because you still need some healing power somewhere to get a lot of value out of it. But when you do, there you go. So I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And then, unfortunately, guys, I only have one more thing to say about Mesmer that's really genuinely interesting. One more thing. I guess we got Underwater we'll look at in a second. But the actual nerf that's happened for PvP is to Chrono. Mirage is still going to be ridiculously dominant and running around everywhere. They haven't felt the need to touch that. Chrono has changed. So, the big Mesmer update made all the Phantasms OP. Right? Basically, we could just put it that way. They're one-time use now. They're super OP. That meant that Chrono's running Chrono Phantasma, a Grandmaster trait that meant when your Phantasm died, it came back.
And did the same thing.
That meant that was obscene. So everyone's running Chrono in PvP at the moment because of Chrono Phantasma. In addition to Chrono's just got a lot of great stuff in its kit. So there is a nerf. This is the only thing that's took a sideways glance at reining that in. Chrono Phantasma, the second summoned Phantasm, the resummoned Phantasms now do 50% less damage.
Oh.
But that's
Okay.
it. And
That's it?
a lot of the other Phantasms, their extra effects, the Boon Rip that they might give, the defense that they might give, the taunt they might get, all the other stuff, that, yeah, that's all still the same. Yeah, exactly. Condi's the Illusory Mirage, Mage, which is a Daze, burning applicator and whatnot. All that's exactly the same.
So
Don't worry.
It's a 25% reduction of direct damage of your Phantasms.
If both of them hit and whatever, like, I mean, it's just, it's nothing. It's not a big nerf. I mean, I don't know what's going on, honestly. This is now, I haven't really been that annoyed about it for a while, but I now am starting to think, okay, it's been a few patches now, quite a few opportunities. Where are the nerfs? Let's actually be real for a second. Let's actually look at the state of the game, okay? And, yeah, so you got Chrono Phantasma, and we'll see where they go from that. Underwater, Boots, do you want to wrap out what exactly we're looking at? I'll try and get my Mesmer to a place near some water, so we can have some swim.
So, we got Siren's Call.
Okay.
They move faster.
Okay, cool. The projectiles from the autos, alright. So, yeah, Siren's cool. Oh, it feels good, though. I like it. Man, there's a lot of quality of life underwater here. It's nice.
I like it, too. Blinding Tide, it inflicts vulnerability in an area around the player's target in addition to blindness, and the cooldown has been reduced.
Okay.
Spinning Revenge, the skill is reworked and renamed Imminent Voyage.
This is cool. That sounds like a rev skill.
Yeah. It now grants allies Chaos Armor if they are within 600 radius.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. And it creates a clone at the player's position before they retreat. Nice.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. That feels good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have Illusion of Drowning.
Wait. Was that the skill that created the line, the jet stream line that other people could go through and it would...
I honestly could not tell you.
I hope that that's not gone. I really like that skill. Anyway, yeah, sorry. So go ahead. Phantasmal
Illusion of Drowning.
Oh, the 5. Okay.
I guess. The damage inflicted by this skill has been increased by 33%. Right. And now affects up to 5 enemies in the area surrounding the initial target.
What? That's a 5 target hit? That's crazy. That's like the sync. Everyone gets a sync like that. Why is Mesmer's 5 target sync?
Well, because, I mean, the Elementalists were AoE as well, weren't they?
No, if you float someone with a bubble or you sink someone with a rock anchor, it's single target.
The rock anchor, no, I think the rock anchor is now an AoE.
Oh, did they update it with this patch? Are they all AoE now?
I think some of them are AoE anyway.
Oh, did the Necromancer one become AoE and stuff? I guess we'll look when we come to that.
You had the Necromancer.
Yeah, I guess we'll see when we come to that. Okay, cool. What about Spear?
Spear. Is Feign Surge Spear?
Maybe. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a skill 2.
Alright, so Feign Surge increased the damage of this skill by 200%. Okay.
Oh my god, okay. Oh yeah, they got such big hits, man.
And the Mesmer now charges their targeted enemy. That's nice. A nice movement skill.
Yep.
Striking up to 5 enemies along the way before summoning a clone upon... That's a skill that does everything, isn't it?
Pretty much. There's your clone generation and whatnot.
And then Slipstream, the thing you wanted.
Oh,
Slipstream, this skill has been reworked.
No!
Allies who pass through this area of effect gain 8 seconds of super speed.
8 seconds? Wow.
That's nice. That's nice. Wow, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's like a turbocharged temporal curtain. I'm looking at it
What's the
now.
cooldown on Substream?
25 seconds.
Oh, okay. And enemies are immobilized for 3 seconds. Ah, cool. That's a nice getaway.
Yeah, that's like temporal curtain, except instead of cripple, it's a mob, and instead of swiftness, it's super speed.
Yeah.
It's super high. Obviously, you can't use it to pull people. Oh, that's a shame, though. That means that you can't forcibly trigger someone else's character to enter an animation anymore in the game, which you could before.
But now, and also the area of effect has been significantly increased, apparently.
Yeah, it's very big now.
So now we have Vortex.
Yeah, that's the 5.
Clarify the tooltips and increase the damage by 33%.
Okay.
Sure.
What about utilities? Anything else? Traits?
I can't see. Oh, wait. Mirage. Mirage Advance could be used underwater.
Oh, okay. So that's the elite. Right? Oh, no, that's not the elite.
No,
that's
it's a
just,
utility skill.
Yeah, where you blink in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get quite a few of the Mirage skills now. The only one you don't get is Crystal Sands. So you get Ambush and Advance. That's nice. Okay.
That's really nice, yeah. And I think that is it.
Just saying here, it looks like Nullfield can be used underwater too now, which is kind of great. I'd love to see what the new animation is on it, but we missed it on the day. Maybe you guys can say. But if it's anything like the Jarlis one now, that's very cool. Okay, all right, fair enough. Basically, I guess this underwater overhaul really just comes down to they've improved all the weapon skills more than anything else.
Yeah, they're buffing all the weapon skills, but it does look like they have, at least in all the things we've seen so far, or maybe almost all, maybe not Guardian though, actually, now that I think about it, but everything but Guardian, it seems, has 1 or 2 good movement skills underwater now too.
Yeah, that they move you quite far. I wonder if people are going to be disappointed by this, because, I mean, maybe the devs set themselves up a bit too much by putting a proper official post out on the website saying underwater overhaul kind of thing. In fact, I don't think they actually used the word overhaul. It was more of the community ended up latching onto that. But I wonder whether, I mean, because I almost could have expected to just see this randomly in the patch and be like, oh, look, underwater buffs, that's nice. But maybe people are expecting a ton more at this point. I don't know. Yeah. But there you go, guys. So that's Mesmer. Boots, I think it's down to you now.
Okay, so I guess I'll do Thief.
Ooh, Thief. All right, so this is Thief, not Deadeye.
That's correct, because you wouldn't allow me to talk about Deadeye.
Yeah, because it's too much. It's too much.
Or it's just enough, is what I think.
It's too much, Boots.
I'm not talking about Deadeye.
We're only like halfway done, and we're an hour in.
Jesus. All right, so Thief. Underwater. Let's go underwater first.
All right, you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. So for Thief, buffs to damage, essentially. Huge buffs to damage, some huge, some less huge. Buffs to damage, but then a little bit less evasion on some of the abusive skills that you had.
Yeah, so I was wondering about that. On Spear, the skill 3, right? 9-tail strike, I think it was?
9-tail strike, no, that's just the block. Shadow Assault.
Yeah.
So the duration of Shadow Assault has been reduced by 50%, which means 50% less evasion time uptime.
What? This skill looks mental, dudes.
Yeah, so it's been reduced by 50%, but that means that and the initiative cost has been reduced from 7 to 5. But it does more rapid damage. So I feel like Shadow Assault is actually, even though it's a 50% reduction of evasion, I feel like it's a huge buff to it.
It is. That's so cool. You can just hold the button down and you kind of go nuts. It's a really weird animation going that fast. Oh, yeah. Dude, I really like that. I really do like that.
Yeah, and you still have evasion on your flanking dive. So you still have a decent amount of evasion on this, but it looks like you're going to be doing a lot more fast damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's underwater. Is there anything else that was able to be used underwater? Any utility skills?
One sneaky little thing I did want to know, based on the Deadeye thing. Mm-hmm. Are there new underwater sneak attacks based on Malice expenditure from the Deadeye? Do you know what I mean?
I believe so, yes.
If you're an underwater Deadeye, do you get a new sneak?
Yes, I believe.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Okay.
Also, escape on the Spear Gun, I think it is it looks like a nice poison field that does more poison damage than it used to, so I might try to make a poison build with underwater, who knows.
Okay.
We'll see. The Ripper
not struggling for Thief at all.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's get to the real stuff. Well, Blinding Powder you could use underwater too now.
Okay, so there is a new utility as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Okay.
Now... also it seems that they put stealth on a few more underwater skills than they used to have.
Okay.
So there's a nice little class mechanic there. Now in PvE, they reduced they unsplit and reduced the cost of initiative for Cloak and Dagger to 5 from 6, I think it was.
Right.
And that coupled with the Deadeye change that makes it so that your stealth attack does, like, let's say you're doing Dagger, your stealth attack does 10% more damage per stack of malice you have.
Right.
Your backstab. I have a feeling you could make a pretty damn good Deadeye backstab build now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. So I think that could be really fun.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that idea as well.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, so a bunch of unsplits and a buff to Thieves Guild.
A buff to Thieves Guild? Okay.
Yeah, not a great one, mind you.
Oh, what did they do to it?
Nothing to PvP, but in PvE in World vs. World, just the cooldown is down from 180 to 120 seconds.
All right.
And this also made the reduction of the uptime of the thieves from 30 seconds to 24 seconds, just to like.
Oh, so they gave it like the rampage treatment.
Exactly.
Lower cooldown, higher accessibility, lower duration.
Yeah, but it's not like you needed. Like, the thieves would die, so it's not like you needed 30 seconds instead of 24 seconds for the
Not
thieves.
just that either, but the thieves open with like cooldowns of their own. They use like scorpion wire and black powder and stuff, and then they just sort of walk about not doing much afterwards. So I guess the question is, does the new lower duration eliminate a second salvo of cooldowns from them or not? Do you get what I mean?
Maybe.
Because if it does, then it's bad. If it doesn't, then it's like, yeah, whatever. You know, I'll take the higher accessibility. I don't know whether it does, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be honest though, if it's 180 seconds down to 120 seconds, which is a 33% or a 50% reduction, I guess. It depends how you look at it. And the reduction in time is lesser than the reduction in cooldown.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a buff overall, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, I mean, the most I could talk about more besides that is I could go deeper into the unsplits, but I don't really want to.
Okay. I can't remember. What was buff? What did they buff specifically in the competitive patch that's been unsplit now? I actually can't remember.
Cooldown on Dagger Storm, cooldown on a bunch of things. Yeah, just cooldown on a bunch of things. And increase the healing on Hidden Shadows and Scalp Venom.
I suppose it's to be expected. Don't come away from this video too upset to the Thief players that have just skipped everything and come only here.
Because you got the Deadeye overhaul.
Yeah, because the Deadeye overhaul comes with it. So, you know, there's lots to be excited on that. All right.
Absolutely.
So, that's me again then. And we're moving over to Necro. Which, I have to say, has a change that upsets me far more than the Chrono changes, than the Mesmer changes. I really don't understand or like one of the changes. I think it's terrible. Okay, so, sorry to be a bit negative here, guys, but we'll have to go in. First of all, let's do Underwater, which I think we can do fairly quickly. Do you want to just quickly roll through, Boots?
What are we on, Necro?
Yeah, for Necromancer, Underwater for Necro. Okay, I'll get my minion army up in the meantime.
Let's start with Crimson Tide.
Okay, yeah, alright, so this is kind of cool. I really like the Trident change. So the auto, what did they change about it, Boots? It's like one extra bleed, isn't it?
Now fires a projectile at enemies rather than delivering a direct attack.
Yeah.
So the projectile strikes the target twice over a short duration upon impact, inflicting bleeding for 2 seconds on each impact.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So the idea is it throws out these little undead piranha fish, and they chew on people. It used to be just instantly in their face. Now it's a projectile, so in theory people could see it coming. You can see
but it says one more thing here, though. This skill can now be used with other Necromancer Trident attacks. Does this mean that Crimson Tide is kind of like Scepter Air on Ellie, and that it's channeled?
No, it's not. It's not channeled. What that means is every other Trident ability now also fires more piranhas out. Crimson Tide comes for free with everything else. So if I use my skill 2 Feast, I also send piranhas out to everyone that the Feast hits. So, and then they also double up. So you actually get tons of bleed. If I use my Foul Current, I also send out piranhas that swim forward with me.
That sounds like it means that you're going to be doing a lot of hits a lot of small hits,
yes,
right?
Yeah, you're death by 1,000 cuts. The skill 4... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that should be good for lifesteal, for example.
Yeah, great synergy with blood on that, definitely. The skill 4 is now... it's still only one target. It's still only single target. That was the first thing we wanted to look at. But you entomb your foe, and as you entomb them now, it used to just be pure CC, pure break bar damage. Now it sends out piranhas too.
Wow.
So yeah, you guys can see that, and the piranhas are
love
coming
to
out,
see
chewing people as they get sunk.
It's such a shame though that that Renegade doesn't get its spirits underwater.
Oh, because you could use the Carla 5. Yeah, that's it. Maybe, can you use one wolf pack on the Soul Beast underwater? You could maybe do that.
Maybe, yeah. I don't see why. Well, unless it's not an underwater skill, but I don't remember if that's true or not.
Yeah, so they just kind of went a bit weird with the fish here. You get lots of bleed stacking basically now, and there's been some slight changes to the way things work. The skill 3, the swim forward move one, is just like all the other classes we've got as we've seen now, so it moves you faster and further and all that kind of stuff. As you guys can see here. This skill also used to be a leap and a combo field at the same time. Now the field, it still is both, but the field gets created at the end of the impact rather than at the same time. So it's like you leap into a poison field at the end now, and you kind of get the double up. So yeah, that's that. Then you got the spear. What do we got here, Boots?
Cruel Strike, increased damage. Wicked Strike, increased damage. Reaper's Scythe, increased damage. Wicked Spiral, increased damage.
Yeah, the skill 2, more damage.
Everything's increased damage. But then you have Dark Spear. It no longer pulls the Necromancer and instead shadow steps them to their target.
Ooh, so that's the nice. 5, so I can now blink as a Necro. I missed it. Basically, you throw the spear out, and if the spear connects, you teleport to them. So if in theory you find yourself in one of these very rare places that there's underwater combat in World vs. World, if you dodge the bloody looking spear coming at you, you deny their port, right?
Yeah, and it's damage increase, and you have a bleed on there as well. That's AoE.
Yep.
And I think that is it.
Yeah, so that's about it. I don't think there were any other new skills available underwater. Not that I remember necessarily.
Look like it.
No. But yeah, so let's talk about some other things. Now, there are unsplits again, which means general broad buffs. Cast your mind back to previous Necro stuff. One of them I will call out specifically for you all, and that's Spectral Grasp, which had a massive cooldown reduction in PvP, which I've been loving, genuinely making great use out of. So that's very fun. Now that it's been unsplit, that means it goes to World vs. World, I think, where it wasn't before. And that means it's gone to Edge of the Mists. So classic Spectral Grasp, pulling people off of cliffs and stuff. Trolliness, you guys can have fun with once again. Because that's on just a 35-second cooldown. It's really not so punishing. A lot of people still whine about it's difficult to land and stuff, but I really think it's a skill cap thing. I've been using the skill a lot. It's amazing shroud generation, lots of fun. I do check it out in these other modes, guys. I really enjoy the skill.
It shouldn't be difficult to land as long as your opponent isn't really good.
Yeah, it's just cool the way that it's like a giant vacuum, actually, at 1200. It's like a reverse detection pulse, guys. People just don't realize how this works. It's very, very, very exciting skill. Lots of nuance to it. I actually have a dedicated video on Winter Potatoes 2 specifically about using this, if you guys want to check that out. Anyway, so there's that. Then there's some other exciting stuff.
Well of Blood.
Yeah, okay, so we'll do the wells first.
That's a huge buff to my build, my...
Wait, Well of Blood?
Yeah,
you mean just the cooldown, the unsplits, right? You're still talking about
unsplit.
Yeah. Yes.
Huge buff to the healing Scourge build.
Yeah, so you got that. Now, I do want to talk about a new... Let's do the cool stuff. I'll end with a horrible change, right? So, Blood is Power. Interesting. You remember last patch, Boots? What Blood is Power, they gave it tons of might.
Yeah, 15 was it?
And they reduced the duration of it, a bit like For Great Justice.
Yeah.
It didn't really cause people to use it very much, so they're going another take very quickly. They've just completely thrown that out of the window, basically. Okay. So now they've reduced the might, so it's now 5 might. Doubled the duration. So it's 5 might for 20 seconds. So that's good duration right there. You can put that for 40 seconds of might if you go max out on the might duration and stuff. Okay. So that's a lot of might, okay, for 5 seconds. But interestingly, it's now an ammo skill. So you can cast it twice. You can double cast this thing to spike lots of might on everyone. The cooldown is still pretty low. The recharge time is 30 seconds. So basically, I hate getting too number heavy with this, but if you have really, really high might duration, you'll be able to cast this again before the old stuff's run out. You can double cast it. It's a corruption, so you can double bleed yourself now to transfer to other people.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, as an ammo skill, it's just more versatile, more interesting.
Also, doesn't it bleed your target as well?
Yeah, it still bleeds your target, yeah. So self-bleed, bleeds them, you can double cast it, lots of might. I don't know.
It's basically a buff to the might, kind of, but also, more importantly, it doubles the damage from Blood is Power.
Yeah, that you're actually applying to people. Because don't forget, it's high duration, so... I don't know. I like it as a double cast. I'm hoping that people will see some value in it, and yeah. So, Well of Power, I believe it's like a thematic change they're going with here. This is the one that stun breaks you as you cast it. Gives you that tiny bit of stab to cover the cast. But it's boon conversion. So if you're being... it's condi conversion, sorry. So if you're being hit really hard with condis, you throw this at your feet, you turn all those condis into boons for yourself, and you become like this powerhouse. Really good skill, extremely strong. I've been using it on Reaper builds, where it's particularly effective. Well, they've done another thing here as well. It now also gives you might every pulse. To you and your allies. Now, it's 1 might per pulse, and there's only 6 pulses, and it goes away. So 6 might, it's not that crazy on the surface level. You don't expect too much from this. But
well, it's 8 seconds of might, so... Oh, yeah, okay, never mind.
Where this actually gets really good is, again, on those Reaper builds, which we're already using it, Reaper gets the trait that means every time you gain a boon, you gain either health or life force. So that's more ways to proc that now that you weren't. So you get, even when there are no condis on you, you can use that to proc and sort of juggle a little bit more with that. So,
yeah, that's nice.
So that's a cool change. So generally, I like a lot of this Necro stuff. That's about it, really, of the big ones. But here's the thing I really don't like. It's a Scourge change.
Okay.
So Scourge is best in slot, DPS, heavy condi stuff right now in PvP. It's extremely good as an AoE condi applicator. It's also got a notoriously low skill cap in that you can just kind of spam things. The devs addressed that last patch by increasing the cooldown on the shade abilities, so you had to be a bit more precise when you used them. Now, you might remember, Boots, when we last talked about this, we also said, well, you could also reduce life force gain, which also stresses them to use mechanics properly, to actually build life force off of rotting bodies, to utilize their Torch 4 properly, to make sure they get the life force. If you do that, you create just as an effective build, but it needs higher skill cap because you reduce their life force. That's the most intelligent way to affect Scourge right now. So it's a bit more respectable playing one.
Also, maybe reduce the size of those. Anyway, yeah.
So naturally, the devs took a best in slot trait that people were running anyway, called Nourishing Rots, and they buffed the hell out of it. So Nourishing Rots was gain life force every time you remove or corrupt a boon.
Right.
Which people in general were doing, and what this meant was you were just passively getting tons of life force, and you didn't have to think about it that much as a mechanic, which is one of the reasons it was low skill cap. So people were running that trait anyway. The devs have now changed it to be called Nourishing Ashes, which says this. Nourishing Ashes does all of the same previous stuff, but now also grants life force when the player inflicts burning, in addition to the other things. So...
Is there a change in the amount of life force?
No, it's just get more life force for burning as well as the other stuff.
Is it still 5%, you mean? I mean?
The numbers haven't changed. They're just... you mean for the... It doesn't say on the patch notes how much.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look in game, I guess. Maybe it did change, though.
Well, no, it's 5... It says in game 5%.
Okay, it does say 5%. All right.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be 5%? Wouldn't they have said it?
Well, if they're buffing it, why would they buff it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you tell me. So basically, you're now getting even more brainless, random life force, solidifying it as a spammy spec, and solidifying. It's just ridiculous. You don't buff a best in slot thing in the first place, let alone compound upon what was already the issue with it. So I just don't get it. I don't get why that juxtaposition was touched. I guess they're trying to reinforce people running Doomfire. You were getting burning anyway thrown out when you corrupted Aegis, so it's just like now if you now corrupt Aegis, you get even more life force, so you even more. It's just I'm not happy with this. I don't understand.
It's possible, okay,
on any level.
It's possible that Well, I mean, there's an internal cooldown, so you're not gonna double remove. You're not gonna double gain life force.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So there's that, and it's possible that they wanted it to. I mean, you don't use this that often, but like they wanted you to be able to go away from Unending Corruption, the boons converted to conditions when you use skill 1. So you could still have Doomfire and get it on your dropping of your Sandshades, and not have to use the boon corruption on the Sandshade as well. Trait.
I guess.
Yeah, no, but I think you're right. It's a little weird.
But there you go. So yeah, Nourishing Ashes. I was quite excited when I first saw this because I was like, oh yeah, they've changed it so much that they've even changed the name of it. And they haven't really. They've just added to the pile of what was already there. So there you go. I mean, some people were running other things, to be clear, by the way. Some people were running Abrasive Grit. But yeah. All right, so there you go. That's Necro. And overall, I'm excited about it. And I'm keen to try out some of the new things.
Okay, great. And I'm going to do Warrior next. It's kind of small, actually.
Oh, Warrior's a small one, is it, this time?
Well, what I got from it, yeah, so much. Besides the unsplits, obviously.
Okay.
Okay, let's go with... Boots. We'll go with the underwater first.
Okay, I'm jumping in.
So, basically just a bunch of buffs again.
Okay.
Damage buffs, etc. No huge...
Functionality
changes. No huge, except one thing that's going to look really fun is the Tsunami Slash. I think it's skill 5 on
that's
Spear.
skill 5, yeah.
Is now, instead of 600 range, it's 1200 range.
Oh, so you go really far now.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Yes.
I just cast that on a shark, so I didn't move anywhere, and I'm now waiting for the full cooldown, and I'll go through again. But yeah, all right. So what about on the spear gun, the harpoon gun? Anything there?
Damage increase. There's a backwards evade on the knot shot.
Oh yeah, the skill 5 thing's really good. On the knot shot, we now dodge back as we fire the enemy about. Yeah, they do that quite a lot now. And
then repeating shot is a lot more damage as well. 200% extra damage.
200%. So the skill 5s both feel really good.
Yeah.
I like Warrior Underwater. I really do. It's one of my favorite underwater ones.
Yeah. I used to always farm those Barracuda.
Yeah. I'm still not sure it beats NG, but it's very, very fun. It is good.
Yeah.
Any new utilities or anything?
For underwater, let's see. I don't think so.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't think so.
Right.
But yeah, so then there's a bunch of unsplits. So you got your flurry, the normal damage on your flurry goes up. Same thing with the flaming flurry. Sword buffs basically in PvE.
Yeah. There was lots of sword buffs recently in PvP, right?
Yeah, for sword. Also some mace buffs in PvP that are carried over to PvE now, which is nice.
That's that tremor offhand and that lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Whirling Axe had a buff in PvE. And that's being carried over to PvP now. So skill 5 on your axe now in PvP does 20% more damage.
I love the thought that someone's going to try and run that now and actually land all of the strikes. It's going to be so good.
I'm going to do it. Go
for it, man. Montage material.
Exactly. And yeah, I don't know. And then, or you could do like, oh man, that makes me want to do powerful synergy with like Viper gear.
Oh, for combo finishes and stuff?
In a fire field, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, powerful synergy, and I'll just get a Firebrand friend to put down that field. Tome 1, skill 4. Just go charging in with Whirling. Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. I didn't say anything. And then Healing Signet reduced in PvE like it was in PvP. 10% healing damage reduction. Healing reduction. I don't know. Just there's a Skull Grinder buff for PvP.
Are you telling me it's all just unsplits? That they haven't done anything else for it? It's just unsplits.
Yeah, a lot of unsplits basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all unsplits. I mean, but that does mean that like Blood Reckoning, for example, gives you 30 adrenaline in PvE now as opposed to just in PvP. Okay. So that's going to be a buff to everybody who's using it in raids.
Yeah.
Yeah, unsplits. Adrenal health reduction in PvE because of an unsplit. And then that Empower Allies thing that I was talking about before.
Yeah, well, that's actually been nerfed down. That's a bit disappointing. I feel disappointed for the Warriors there.
Yeah, nothing special.
That's interesting to me because if you remember on the last balance of boots, from a PvP perspective, we were talking about how both Druid and Spellbreaker were excellent duelists, probably both 2 OP, and they nerfed them both. Well, they've not continued the nerfs on the Warriors side, but they are still on the Rangers.
Oh, tell me about that.
So that's our last one. We'll have a look at Ranger, I guess. First, starting with Underwater. Where is my Ranger? Here we go. He's here in the Crystal Oasis. Just trying to find all the... If people have noticed, I've been trying to find basically every pond, every bit of water in POF for the video. So, Underwater, I'll let you go ahead, Boots, and describe a little bit of that. So, what are we looking at first?
Okay, so for Underwater, you have Stab.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that's
damage
the
increase.
auto.
Yeah, on the spears, 25%, 27% on skill 2. Is that, or is that the, is there a second auto attack? I can't.
It's stab and then toxic. Stab, jab, toxic strike. Stab, jab, toxic strike. Yeah.
So extra damage on the first 2, nothing on the third. Toxic strike actually got renamed to evasive strike. Or no, wait, it used to be evasive strike.
Yeah,
now it's toxic strike. Right. Okay.
So
it
give a bit
no
of
longer evades.
opportunity on there, I guess.
It used to evade, it no longer evades.
Okay.
Instead, it applies 1 stack of poison for 6 seconds, and the damage is increased.
Okay.
So that's nice, actually. It's kind of like that change to sword, I guess.
Yeah.
From a while back. Right, so then Swirling Strike, increased damage by 120%. You have Dart, which is that guy who looks like a shark thing.
Yeah.
And it's been renamed to Surging Maw, which makes sense because it's the Surging Maw. And the ending strike inflicts bleeding based on how far you were moving, so kind of like that tidal wave.
And more damage. Yeah. It's like everyone's got something like this. You go so far.
Yeah, and I mean, there you go. It's the movement skills they're adding to the... It was needed, I think, for Underwater. Better movement skills. And Counter Throw. I don't know. This is a different weapon, I'm guessing?
No, it's the same. This is skill 4.
Oh. Okay, Counter Throw. This damage of the skill has been increased by 33% and cripples enemies for 6 seconds on a successful hit. And Counter Strike. The damage of the skill has been increased by 16% and will stun the target instead of pushing them away.
For 3 seconds as well. Can't you still trait that up as well with Moment of Opportunity? Yeah,
you'd be able to 50 extra %. Or is it 25 now? I don't know whether...
Anyway, that's a big-ass stun. That's a really big-ass stun.
Yeah. And Man o' War.
Yep, that's the skill 5.
Yeah, strikes up to 8 times on a target, immobilizing them on the final attack, and it now functions like ammunition. Up to 2 ammunition recharges. Yeah, every 25 seconds with 4 seconds between uses.
Dude, this is really nasty. Immob, final attack. It's got a cool... has that always had... I mean, a Man of War or jellyfish, right? Has the animation always been there of a big-ass jellyfish? Or is that only really evident to me now? I think Ranger's one of the ones I don't play underwater too much either.
I mean, I think I've only ever played one type of character underwater, so yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But, so interesting, a lot of these skills have the added note of the Ranger can now move while executing the skill. So I'm guessing those skills, at least like 3 or 4 of them, yeah, you were rooted. So this is much better. Much better.
What else for the spear gun?
So you got Splinter Shot, extra damage, 120%. Oh my god. What
about Coral Shot? Here it is.
Coral Shot. Physical damage of the skill has been increased by 1,150%.
Wow. I mean, it's a Condi applicating skill, but I guess they've decided...
Was it only doing like 1 damage before, or what?
My tooltip now reads... I don't even know what gear I've got. I don't even have full gear, so... But it looks like a normal damaging attack now. I think basically what it was they wanted it as a pure Condi strike before, and now they've realized that that's like not necessary. I actually think, they did a blog post saying what they wanted to change about Underwater, and they listed out their ideas. I genuinely think one of the ones that they didn't list, but they've clearly done, is they've made all weapons accessible to Condi and flat damage playstyles. All skills are valuable.
Because you just have so fewer weapons, so it's like it's mean to kind of like make you
push people out. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, then Feeding Frenzy. The skill damage from pulse interval has been reduced to 0.2 seconds from 0.5 seconds.
Okay.
So it rapidly deals damage now. And Mercy Shot increased damage by 25%. Additional damage at each health threshold has been increased by 50%, from 50 to 75% base damage. Ink Blast, oh my god, they actually have a lot of weapons, the Ranger underwater.
It's just that every single one's been touched.
Yeah.
Every
Ink
single
Blast,
skill.
The skill now inflicts cripple for 2 seconds and minor damage per pulse in addition to its previous effects.
Okay. So there you go, guys.
I have a question for you. I don't think I have been underwater with a Ranger for years.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to Soul Beast underwater, right?
Yeah, you can Soul Beast underwater.
And the Soul Beast skills work underwater?
Okay, well, hold on. Let me get out of combat and be 100%. I'm sure you can Soul Beast. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and they work.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Just like the Holomancer, Holosmith.
Holomancer. You gotta get that out of your head, man.
I know.
Yeah, they do. They do. You can become a Necro as well, really. I just merged with my shark and I can feel like a Necro. It's kind of cool. Cute. It's literally Necro downstairs.
Tell me everything. Tell me the rest of this.
So, it's kind of difficult to talk about Ranger, or specifically Druid, so let's just talk. They've had a lot has gone on, alright? So first, let's just get over some basics. Number one, Sword has had some buffs, you guys can see here. Not necessarily anything too major, but little sword buffs there. Next, speaking about spirits in general, all the spirits have gone from having a 75% chance to proc to 100. Okay. So they're guaranteed to proc now.
So wait, have they reduced the effectiveness of each of them?
For some of them, yes. So for us, Spirit is now 100% chance to trigger, but when it boosts your damage, it will only boost it by 5% instead of 10%. Okay,
that's a big nerf, actually.
It's probably in line with the other dropping of the efficacy of unique buff stacking.
Well, I mean, just by numbers, it's not. It's lower.
No, but I mean philosophy-wise.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so they've done that, and not all of them have. I think that the Sun Spirit as well, the burning that it does, had some slight shifts as well in its intensity or how much it does. But yeah, so they've done that with the spirits, evened it out. I kind of like that, just philosophically, I like it being evened out now, so that you don't have that bit of RNG.
So Sun Spirit, wasn't it 3 stacks of burning before?
Yeah, now it's 2.
2, yeah, and the duration is reduced as well. So yeah, that's a big nerf actually.
Yeah, so less reliance on spirits, but they still, ultimately, they're a unique modifier, so they'll still find their place. So you get that. Looking over at Soul Beast as well, there were a couple of... Well, okay, just a random pet change. You'll like this, Boots. The spider... they say this, the poison gas ability, which I believe in one of our Boots Bad builds we used and showed how horrendously bugged it was. It says, fixed a bug in which the poison field could not reach its target if the ranger was too far away.
That's interesting.
That was the one where it would randomly place it at your feet.
Yeah, but they actually had, beforehand also, like last balance patch, they had another note on the spider, the poison gas. That was, they had fixed a bug where it was doing it at max range instead of at their target or something.
Yeah.
So I guess they didn't quite fix it properly the last patch.
I think it was. Yeah. So it could be that. They've done that. Another one that I find hilarious is for Soul Beasts. Now, Bristleback Soul Beasts. This was one of the things I distinctly remember before Path of Fire came out. I was excitedly showing people in the Heart of the Mists lobby. Because I don't even have a bristleback on this ranger. That's amazing. I actually have never picked up a bristleback. That's amazing. Oh, have I? And I just can't see on the list. Yeah, I've never picked up a bristleback on this ranger. This is how much ranger I play. But I remember before Path of Fire came out, I was excited because you can merge with the bristleback and use the bristleback's rapid firing thing yourself. And that was one of those like distinct skills that I thought was exciting to be able to use as a Soul Beast, you know? However, I never realized this. Today's patch says this. The skill itself is called Rain of Spikes. That's the player one. This skill has been fixed to actually hit, basically. And I was like, what does that mean? Looking on the wiki has a note for this skill, and it says, note, this was before this patch. This skill misses in almost all circumstances, as it is coded to aim at the target's feet or below them. So there was a Soul Beast skill for the Bristleback Soul Beast that they could just never hit with it, basically, because it was just coded to aim at the floor.
Well, if you were above them, directly above them, that would work perfectly.
Yeah, so
Like in water.
I'm wondering whether I'll see some longbow power soul beasts that merge with bristlebacks now, so they can do like a rapid fire into a bristleback rapid fire thing. And then
I think the Rain of Spikes isn't the rapid fire. I think it's like the shake where it does an AoE around them.
I thought it was like the... Okay, well, in any case, that's now usable, guys. So it's like Soul Beast got a new skill, in a way. Spotter had its efficacy reduction, as we've talked about before. And then another thing that I kind of like before we get into the Druid changes is, again, Soul Beast related, it's Beast Mastery. So Beast Mastery has the trait Loud Whistle. Let me find it. Where is it? Oh, yeah, it should be somewhere. Oh, here you go. It's a minor trait. It's a minor Beast Mastery trait. So, Loud Whistle is this. While your health is above a certain threshold when it's very high. It's like a scholar bonus, right? Your pet does more damage, and your pet swap gains recharge reduction.
Okay.
Loud Whistle never had any synergy with Soul Beast before, but now it does. So, if you're a Soul Beast, when you merge with your pet, you gain the Loud Whistle now. So you get 10% more damage as a Soul Beast as of this patch while you're at max health. So you get like double scholar bonus when you are a Soul Beast. Because
there was already a way to get like 20, 30k Greatsword hits as a merged Soul Beast. Now they're adding an additional 10% damage on top of that?
I mean, you might say, oh, that's over the line or whatever, but I think just, you know, in terms of what the traits read, you would expect Loud Whistle to work, so now it actually does.
Yeah, that's great, actually. You're right, because now, I don't know, do you think this will affect DPS for power?
Well,
Soul
yeah,
Beasts?
it's basically 10% more damage for people in those constructed no-brain scenarios where your health never goes low, right? I'm interested in that in some other places as well. Beastmaster Soul Beast combos. Like, Beastmaster Soul Beast is a great combo you should be using, and I think that, you know, it's cool to see. If efficacy's too much, then they'll affect things. But yeah, I'm kind of excited as a Soul Beast to see how that goes now. I'm sure people will be really happy to see Loud Whistle. All right, so let's look over at Druid now. The nerfs keep coming, sort of, alright? So, first just look at the video here, guys. There's a big list of CA healing nerfs. And this isn't all game types. And these are big healing nerfs. Extraordinary healing nerfs. So high you might think, what the hell is going on here? Alright? And while the answer comes a little bit lower in the patch notes, it's with a Druid Grandmaster change. Lingering Lights. So Lingering Lights was the one that spammed blinds as you use CA abilities and stuff and was really frustrating. Well, now it's this. The trait only spams that blind out and the additional like packet heal when you enter CA. All right, so it's not while healing people. It's just when you go into CA. So the blind aspect is not so spammy, which, by the way, I love because it was so frustrating plussing druids. So that now goes away. But the benefit now is that Grandmaster buffs all your CA heals to allies by 50%.
Whoa.
So, but what's actually happened here, returning to the nerfs, is they're essentially saying, if you want to be a healer druid, you're using this Grandmaster. Yeah. You're not going to get... you're forced into that Grandmaster to get the resustain now. So, the duelist, like, druids that we see everywhere now, I'm not sure how this works now. Basically, you won't see they can pick up Grace of the Land. You won't see they can pick up Ancient Seeds so readily. They're kind of pushed into Lingering Light to get the healing. But you'll notice that Grandmaster is outgoing healing. That's to benevolence.
Allies. Yeah.
So, like, solo sustain through CA is, like, butchered this patch. Butchered.
Yeah. But 50% increase to healing is pretty good for allies.
Yeah, but then the baseline stuff's been nerfed as well, like, even that's not as great as it. So, essentially, guys, I think they've... I don't know, I don't want to be too hyperbolic about this, but I'm worried about Druid, let me just put it that way. And I'm astounded. Boots, when we were prepping this video, I said, oh, I'm interested to see what you say about Spellbreaker. I'm astounded that they've done this much to Druid here, and Spellbreaker's had nothing. Because, I mean, even coming out of the last patch. So, yeah, it's like the devs probably should have stopped with the nerfs to this level. I don't know. Maybe I misread this. Maybe I don't understand the traits that druids take quite as well as they should at the moment. People can correct me in the comments if they like, but that looks like a heavy nerf to me. Maybe I'm wrong, and definitely check the discussion below to find out whether I am. And That's Druid. That's
Wow. Okay, so that was wow. Yeah.
That's my last. Oh, that's it. We're done. That's
We're
profession
done.
number 9, isn't it?
Time to talk about Deadeye.
We nearly always leave Ranger for last. Is that because the devs always write Ranger last in the patch notes, or because neither of us play it?
No, it's never written last in the patch notes. I think it's that neither of us really play Ranger.
Well, yeah, we always go out on a high note. So there you go, guys. That is the patch. Do keep an eye out on the channel for more discussion about the Deadeye changes and whatnot coming up. Thanks to all of you who have got the whole way through it and didn't just like spam your way through various time stamps. If you're listening to all the balance in the game, you probably have a far more healthy perspective than the people who just say, I'm a main of this and all I care about is this. So good job to all of you guys. It's been great to have you on the show, and I will see you very shortly, Boots, hopefully, for even more updates.
Absolutely.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.